What's up, everyone? I'm Doug Kyed. Welcome back to Pat's Chat. I feel like we haven't done a show in so long. Like we nailed the beginning of free agency, and
Mm.
then like by the time it was set to record again, the Patriots hadn't done anything for too long. I think that we were both kind of busy. But we're back now, back
Yeah,
in time for the NFL annual meeting,
we're here.
which you totally knew was going to happen today.
Yeah, I've been waiting for it for weeks, knowing that today was the day, and lo and behold, it happened as I knew it would today. So, shout out to me and the meetings.
I have like managerial duties now at my new job,
Yeah.
and I probably should have let everyone know that the meeting was coming on like Friday or Thursday, just
Mm.
to be like, hey, like Monday morning might be a little crazy.
Yeah.
I let everyone know on Sunday night. I was like, you know what? They better be working anyway. If they're not, they're gonna be in trouble. So
Anyone covering a team that didn't know today was meetings, it's a fool. Doug, do you know what I
bunch
have here?
of fools.
This is
No, I can't even see it.
13 printed out pages of Bill Belichick's press conference today. A lot of pages, not a lot of words. A lot of pages, not a lot of words.
I've been rewatching The Office at night.
Yeah.
So as soon as you showed me paper, I was like, what is this? An episode of The Office?
Yeah, classic.
Or is this Pat's Chat?
Classic. Doug, I want to come in hot. I don't know if you saw my notes. I sent you some notes, Doug.
I didn't see
I'm
it.
coming in hot. I don't think Bill Belichick likes Mac Jones. I'm willing to say that. I think we now have two pretty strong comments where the simplest thing in the world is to say Mac Jones is our quarterback, and he doesn't want to say it. And people might think, well, I guess I'll back up a little. Today he was asked, will there be an open competition? He said, yeah, uh,
Everyone plays.
everyone will get a chance to play when he was asked about Zappy, Mac Jones. And then a follow-up was that for every position, everybody will get a chance to play based on how much you earn it in practice. And we know that after the season ended, he was asked if Mac Jones was the quarterback, and he said he's proven he can play quarterback in this league, which was woof. And the easiest thing in the world, because the worst thing you can have is controversy that divides a team, that distracts a team.
Mm-hmm.
Bill Belichick is a master at avoiding all that. Last year, he created it himself. In this offseason, he has done nothing to work against that. And there's a lot of evidence in Bill Belichick's time. You might say, Michael, you fool. This is how Bill Belichick operates. He doesn't guarantee anyone a job in March.
Right.
He did it a lot for Tom Brady and even Cam Newton.
Yeah.
When Cam Newton was 5 weeks without a touchdown, he would get pissed at you if you asked if there was going to be a change at quarterback. He was asked, I think, kind of a fair question logically in 2016 in July. So there's no way that Jimmy's the starter when Tom gets back in week 5? Like, how do you know that? And he literally muttered Jesus Christ under his breath at the reporter. So there is a lot of evidence to Bill
Shout out
Belichick.
Mike Giardi.
Was it Giardi?
Yeah, it was.
I know Giardi was the Kansas City week 4, 2014.
I'm
I think
pretty sure it was
2016.
Giardi.
Oh,
I think it was
well,
Giardi.
shout out to Mike Giardi.
Yeah.
There's just a lot of history, and that was another one where any type of questions about the starting quarterback were squashed by Bill Belichick aggressively. And multiple times this offseason, he hasn't done it. I don't think I'm not like hot taking this. I have not gotten the impression that Bill Belichick likes him as a quarterback.
So remember the old Raiders are going to trade for Mac Jones thing?
So, I mean, there's a lot of things.
So that didn't happen. The Raiders instead chose Jimmy Garoppolo, who arguably on like a game-by-game basis is a better quarterback than Mac Jones. A more expensive quarterback, but still probably a better one on a game-by-game basis.
But also a worse on a game-by-game basis, I think.
Possibly, yeah, like higher ceiling, maybe a lower floor because he could get injured at any moment. But around that time, I reached out to someone to be like, is this real? Is this what's going on here? And like, I don't want to quote this person directly because I feel like it might get like taken, I don't know, might get like blown up too much. But I think I even wrote this at the time. Like the sense that I got from this person was that like Josh McDaniels thinks much higher of Mac Jones maybe than Bill Belichick does. And that like Josh would want to work with Mac Jones. And I don't know if that means that Bill doesn't want to work with Mac Jones, but yeah, I mean, I think that you can look into, like, you don't need to look that far into these comments. I was actually kind of surprised when I went back and wrote about some of this stuff that wasn't made a bigger deal out of Bill Belichick's comments about Mac Jones, just because it's like, it was no commitment whatsoever. Like, he's basically like, I feel like sometimes with Bill Belichick, you don't want to like get too hot takey off of his comments.
Right.
But,
I mean, and largely today, it's like, yeah, whatever. Right. That was a Bill Belichick press conference.
But if anyone else in the NFL said that, like if Mike Vrabel, this is not the greatest example, because obviously there was like maybe I won't use Mike Vrabel because there was a tragedy in Nashville today, and that's not a good team. Let's go with.
How about down in Miami?
The Dolphins.
What if Mike McDaniel said,
yes.
Yeah, Tua's got a chance to start.
Right. Like if Joe Schad or whatever had asked Mike McDaniel, like, is there going to be a quarterback competition between Tua and Mike White? And he said, like, everyone gets a chance to play, like, basically, like, everything's open. I feel like the national media would be like, there's a quarterback competition in Miami. Tua Tagovailoa is not guaranteed the starting job. This is a huge effing deal, and we should make a big deal out of it. But since it's Bill Belichick, he doesn't really answer anything. Like, no one really takes it that seriously. But he was essentially saying that there's a quarterback competition in New England in not so many words.
Yeah, and I don't want to belabor it because it is late March. But that's what stood out to me, because I think back to last October and that Bears game. As we've mentioned on the podcast, the Patriots did lose to the Bears, and the Bears never won again, despite that game taking place before Halloween. That tells you how ugly that night was. And it created such a bad energy with the Patriots, with the fans rooting against Mac, booing Mac, chanting for Zappy while Mac Jones is in the game. It was not conducive to winning, and it was not in line with, quote unquote, what's best for the team. Right. And I would think after that experience, and with the fact, Doug, that we're talking about Bailey effing Zappy, not someone like it's not
Mike White. We're not talking about Mike White here.
I mean, they both played at Western Kentucky, so we might as well be talking about Mike White. That's what we're talking about.
That's a good point.
It's a lot. That's all I'm saying. It's a lot to not, even if, and there's no repercussions if he says Mac's our quarterback, right, and then changes his mind later, because he did that with Cam Newton in 2021. Cam is our starter. Cam is our starter. You were there at training camp and practice and all through the preseason when it started. Mac maybe got more reps or maybe got more one reps, but it wasn't a decisive. It was done behind the scenes. And then when it was time, he made the decision, and no one said, "Hey, Bill, you lied to us. You said Cam was the starter." Yeah, it's just part of the business. So to not commit to him, it's telling. That's all.
I also think that it's the same thing that I was writing back in whatever that was, October, November, or whenever that Bears game was, that like, I think that the Patriots look at Mac Jones and say, like, I think he needs a kick in the butt. I think he doesn't necessarily need to be named the starter. Like, maybe that's not the best motivational tactic for him. But I want to keep talking about quarterbacks, because another insane thing happened today. Mm-hmm. After Lamar Jackson tweeted out at the exact moment that John Harbaugh was going to start speaking to the media that he had requested a trade on March 2nd. Cool prank by Lamar Jackson, by the way.
Tough
Fully
for all the
people doing that.
All the Ravens reporters, because you're at the table, you're just scanning, and you're like, what? Oh, God. John,
John, you just got pranked. You just got punked. Where's Ashton Kutcher?
Because Lamar said he requested the trade on March 2nd, if I'm not mistaken. Yes. And it's now, my computer's telling me the 27th.
It's true.
25 days later.
But then, like, Robert Kraft gives Mac Jones this seal of approval. Or like, he's like, I believe in Mac. I like Mac. He's there every day, all this stuff.
Had a bad situation last year. We've made changes to help him.
Right. But then at the end of his meeting with the media, he's like, by the way, Meek Mill texted me. He said Lamar Jackson wants to play with the Patriots. But that's up to Bill. And then like seemingly just like peaced out. Which like, yo, RKK. It's kind of a bomb to drop. And once again, like it's been a busy day. I haven't really been necessarily paying attention to like the Boston media. I'm sure that they like made a big deal out of this. I feel like Twitter, once again, like maybe didn't make a big enough deal out of the fact that the Patriots owner told the media that Lamar Jackson wants to play for the Patriots, and that it's ultimately Bill's decision. Like, I don't know. That seems kind of wild.
Especially considering we watched Bill Belichick earlier asked about Lamar Jackson, say, I'm not going to talk about any player on any other team. And then Mike Reese said, well, I mean, he is a free agent, period. Just like, no, not going to happen. So, yeah, that is bananas. But if we do break it down, because we know Meek Mill and Robert Kraft are friends, I don't know Lamar's relationship to Meek Mill.
No, me neither. Yeah.
I don't know much about who Lamar is friends with, if you can believe that. We don't communicate that on a regular basis. But I would say this, Doug. He requested that trade March 2nd.
Yeah.
He was eligible to negotiate with teams March 15th-ish, 14th-ish, whenever free agency opened. It's now March 27th. You still haven't heard any actual negotiations.
Right.
So does Lamar Jackson want to play for the Patriots? Of course he does.
Right.
He wants to play
for any team. Right.
For an NFL football team that will pay him top dollar.
Yeah.
And trade for him or do whatever needs to be done. Right. So that aspect of it, while flashy and definitely worthwhile from a headline standpoint, is sort of like, well, yeah, he wants to play for the Patriots. He wants to play for anyone except for, I don't know, the Chiefs, the Bills, the Bengals. He wants to play somewhere where he can start at quarterback. Whereas we know you can earn playing time here in New England at quarterback.
Do you think if he traded for Lamar,
is Lamar the starter, Bill?
Like, Bailey's happy. He looked pretty good last year.
Yeah. Should have seen that pass against the Browns.
You know what? This shouldn't be a controversial take, but it might be. Mm-hmm. I think the Patriots should trade for Lamar Jackson.
Trade what though? 2 firsts?
2 firsts. Do it.
And Mac? Or 1 first and Mac?
I don't even know if you can. Yeah, sure. What? 2 firsts and Mac. Who cares at that point about Mac?
3 firsts. I actually.
But so it's a risk. It's a risk. Lamar Jackson has played 12 games the last 2 seasons. I did some research, surprisingly, because I was writing about this. In the history of the NFL, there's been 5 quarterbacks who have carried the ball more than Lamar Jackson has.
I think you mentioned this.
It's Cam Newton, Randall Cunningham, Russell Wilson, John Elway, Michael Vick, and then Lamar Jackson. And Lamar Jackson has played
21. He's 21 years old. Too.
He's played 5 seasons.
Yeah.
John Elway played 16 seasons. And guess how many more rushing attempts John Elway has than Lamar Jackson in their respective careers.
So Lamar has rushed the ball 727 times.
Yes.
Oh, now I'm trying to do some quick math in my head. I'm gonna cheat a little with a little calculator and just guess. We're gonna go 55 attempts a year. Is that good? 880. I'm gonna go with 880 on Elway.
So John Elway has 47 more career rushing attempts than Lamar Jackson.
So under 800.
Under 800. He's in the 700 range.
Yeah.
Different
era, different era.
Absolutely. And we're in a new era. But my larger point here is that there's not a great, there's not a great history of quarterbacks rushing as much as Lamar Jackson has and lasting, because there's never been a quarterback who's rushed the ball as much as Lamar Jackson has. And Randall Cunningham kind of had a up and down career. Cam Newton didn't last very long. Michael Vick didn't last very long. John Elway did, but he had 47 more career rushing attempts than Lamar Jackson has right now. Russell Wilson, he's held up pretty well, but he was also terrible last season.
He was also a master of the running to the sideline and reaching the ball out and
right.
Not getting hit a lot. He's not a reckless runner.
No,
I just did some quick research, Doug. Yeah. Not to derail you. Cam Newton through 5 years, 78 games, 599 rushing attempts.
Yes. Yeah.
Lamar Jackson has played 70 games and has 727 rushing.
Yeah. So there's never been a quarterback like Lamar Jackson, unless in the history of the NFL. But Lamar Jackson tweeted recently, what was it? He had a 3-year, $139 million, something like that, deal on the table from the Baltimore Ravens. That's not that absurd. And if he'd consider a 3 or 4 year contract, the Patriots could even possibly fully guarantee it. And they don't have a ton of cap space right now, but they could free up another $10 million or so with some restructures. And they have $130 million in cap space next year. and they have almost double that in 2025. And let me ask you a question, Michael Hurley.
Is it cap related? Because I'll probably not get it right.
Would you rather go on a 2021 level free agent spending spree next offseason or have Lamar Jackson?
That's B.
Yeah, me too. Like, I don't know. Like, you give him a minimal contract, a minimal salary this year, decent signing bonus. If he wants everything guaranteed, guarantee everything. And I don't know. I just think I don't know. I don't think it's that controversial. Like, if you want to be good right now, right this second, if you want to be a Super Bowl contender, you don't do it with Mac Jones. You can do it with Lamar Jackson. So it depends on, like, if you want to risk the future or whatever to take a risk. At Bill Belichick's age and Robert Kraft's age, and like Robert Kraft wanting to win like right now, and even kind of saying to Bill Belichick, like, hey, win now or else there's going to be some conversations.
Yeah.
I don't know, right? Am I crazy?
I mean, yeah, I don't know if you're crazy. I think it's a fair point in this regard. I just think what gets lost in the Lamar discussion and where people would say you're a fool for saying what your proposal was, a first and Mac, is no one is arguing that when Lamar's at his best, he's worth all of that. I'm certainly not arguing against that. But when Lamar is at his best, he's worth all of that.
Yes.
It's just how often has he been at his best over the last 3 years?
It's a fair question.
We have not seen it. And then the other side, I understand the weapons haven't been there. Maybe the line hasn't been there, et cetera, et cetera. I don't know that you're walking into an all-pro team here. It's probably better than what they have in Baltimore.
Yeah.
Maybe a little more reliable.
I'm not sure if you're aware of this, but the Ravens, number 2
just got Nelson
right
Aguilar.
Now, pretty sure it's Nelson Aguilar.
Yeah, no, that's not good. We've seen that, which is crazy. If they're, I don't know. We're not the Ravens chat podcast, but we could have a field day with what their strategy seems to be. But no, I just
the bird word,
the fear. That's not bad. It is bad, but the fear would be you're bringing up the potential for breakdown, which is a legitimate concern. Yeah. I bring up mediocre performance for a couple years and injury. There's a lot there that makes it less of a sure thing. I think I've said it. I mean, the counter to that, though, is I've said it multiple times, and like Mac doesn't excite me. I'm not all jacked up for, not jacked for Mac, but he's probably reliable as long as you keep him upright. As long as you can protect him, you know that he's going to be there and throwing the football. Last year, it started the season, wasn't being protected, got hurt. Maybe that's the case for everybody, but I just think he's a little bit more of a sure thing as a basic, less exciting player. And it's, do you want to take the risk, Doug? Or do you want to fire up a sports gambling app and put all your money into it and then either lose it, like will probably happen, or maybe you'll be the one that wins big?
I want to do the latter.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, like, okay, so Lamar wasn't great in 2021.
The Pro Bowler, though.
He and
Mac.
He was still better than Mac Jones. Like,
2021?
Yeah.
I mean, I guess total, but I mean, as a passer, no.
As a passer, Lamar Jackson in 2021 was no different than Mac Jones last season.
Like last season, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like if you're comparing like worst season to worst season, so Lamar Jackson was like basically exactly Mac Jones in 2022, but then he also ran for 767 yards.
Yeah.
So, and only 2 touchdowns. Not a big touchdown scorer, Lamar Jackson.
Took a poop on Monday Night Football or Thursday Night Football. One of those night football games.
Mac Jones do that. I don't know. I just I think like we've talked about before, there's not a direct path on this current New England Patriots team to compete with the Josh Allen Buffalo Bills, the potentially Aaron Rodgers New York Jets, and whatever the hell the Miami Dolphins are. Like, you can maybe compete with the Dolphins. And, like, who knows? Maybe if Aaron Rodgers sucks, maybe you can compete with the Jets. And maybe if Josh Allen gets hurt. Like, there's a lot of caveats that you have to make for the Patriots to be competitive in the AFC East next season as their roster is currently constructed. And, like, I like their offseason. I like the coaching hires they've made. I think that they did a good job replacing Jacoby Myers with Juju Smith-Schuster. I think they did a good job of replacing Johnny Smith with Mike Gesicki. I think they did a good job of replacing Isaiah Wynn with Riley Reif and Calvin Anderson. They didn't lose anyone on defense other than Devin McCourty, and they signed Chris Board. Like, on paper, roster-wise, They are basically the 2022 Patriots with some different faces who might have a little bit higher upside and better coaching. And the better coaching could go a long way, but I don't think it's going to go from 8 wins to 13 wins.
Mm-hmm.
And Lamar Jackson could take you from 8 wins to 13 wins. And I don't know, like as their roster is currently constructed, how long would it take them to become I don't know, like the Buffalo Bills?
Well, yeah, we've talked about that. There is no path to that.
No.
So I get it. I get that having that elite quarterback, and like I said, when he's at his best, he gets you there. You can't know, and it would be a crazy swing for the Patriots to take that route, knowing that they are, even when they act wildly, it's still cautious. It's still, when they make earth-shattering moves, it's Randy Moss when he's at his absolute cheapest.
Antonio Brown when he's at his cheapest, right?
Yes, for reasons. And sometimes it works out and sometimes it doesn't.
And that, my friend, is why they are not going to trade for DeAndre Hopkins.
It's Rob Gronkowski at what? Yeah, Rob Gronkowski at like 46, right? Like it's not insane. This would be like taking Rob Gronkowski in the top 10.
Right.
It's just not in there the way they operate. But yeah, I don't know. It's hard to get a gauge on that urgency, and not to completely shift the subject, but we'll get to that later.
Yeah.
Robert Kraft saying basically the same things he said last year with Bill wanting to make the playoffs, wanting to win, refusing to like hold his feet to the fire or put him on a hot seat or anything. Understandably so. They have a great, long, successful relationship. Did you catch the part? I believe it was Greg Bedard asking him, saying 2 of your last 3 seasons were losing seasons.
I didn't. I read more of Robert Kraft than I watched Robert Kraft, I would say.
Yeah, I got some audio here. This is the high tech Past Chat podcast coming at you. So it's going to start with the question. Robert, 2 of your last 3 seasons were losing seasons.
Yep.
And then.
If that happens again, could Bill...
Wait, excuse me. We're 8-9 last year. Yeah. When was the...
The Cam Newton year.
Pardon? Oh, the Cam, yeah.
If that...
That's not great. In terms of urgency, I think fans certainly remember 2020 as a nightmare of a season, probably the worst they've seen in 2 decades, since 2000. So the urgency, I'm not sure, is there. And you hear from Bill Belichick, we've been competitive. I think we've always been competitive. I think we're competitive. I think we've been competitive every year. So I don't know what the goal is, Doug, to be honest with you. It sounds stupid to say, right? You want to win. But is there the standard and demand to compete for Super Bowls, or is it less than that? Because from what Bill Belichick said, things have been going all right.
It's true.
Robert
Kraft
didn't seem to be in crisis. That's all.
I don't know. The one line in Robert Kraft when he was talking stood out to me. And he said, but in the end, this is a business. You either execute and win or you don't. That's where we're at. I think we're in a transition phase. I think we made some moves this year that I personally am comfortable with, and I still believe in Bill. I don't know.
How long is the transitional phase?
I know. Well, I mean, that's the thing, is that but it would be so aggressive if Kraft was like, if we don't win this year, then Belichick is fired or anything like that.
Right.
I think he's coming close enough to saying it without saying it.
Didn't he say it last year?
Yeah.
He says, I want to win a playoff game.
Right.
And I want to get back to competing for Super Bowls, and I think it could happen as soon as this year. They went 8-9.
I did think the tenor of Kraft's statements today was pretty heavy on belief in Belichick, beyond a couple lines.
Yeah.
Which is I do kind of feel like he could have maybe held his feet to the fire a little bit more for the Patricia and Judge decisions. Those were, this is not a Matt Patricia podcast.
Mm-mm.
Those were season-long decisions. Bill Belichick never changed anything because it would have been too hard to make a change.
Freaking too hard, Doug.
I don't know. I know that Kraft said that Bill O'Brien was at the top of his wish list for an offensive coordinator during what he was saying. And when Bill Belichick was asked why they hired Bill Belichick, he said it was the best decision for the team.
Bill O'Brien.
Bill
And
O'Brien.
actually, here I'll do a dramatic reading.
Yeah.
Why did you hire Bill O'Brien? I thought it was the best thing for the team. Why was it the best thing for the team? It was a number of reasons. Stand by. Could you name one of those reasons? I have a good relationship with Bill. We go back a ways.
Always.
2 questions later. Will Matt Patricia work for the Patriots this season?
Not sure.
I'm not sure. Could you describe Joe Judge's role with the team? Yeah, we'll talk about staff later on in the spring. Will Gerard Mayo add a title to his name in addition to linebacker coach? I don't know.
Shrug.
I just
the funny
I don't
thing
love
was that
all of that.
he was more verbose about Adrian Clem than Bill
Yeah.
O'Brien.
Yeah.
He was like,
Well-
he's a smart coach, good guy, like knows what he's doing, blah blah blah. I don't know.
None
You
of
know?
that with Bill. Just I know him.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I didn't love that. I think the Patricia thing, and again, not a Patricia podcast. Pat's chat. It's actually not Patricia chat. It's Pat.
it's Pat
Patriots. But maybe we've been pranking everyone all along, and it is a Matt Patricia podcast. No, but
And we're gonna follow him to his next stop.
we have to flesh that out because Bill Belichick today said, "I'm not going to go rehash 2022. It's 2023."
Yeah.
But he's never explained why he thought Matt Patricia was a good idea in that role. And Robert Kraft today said, I kind of felt bad for Matt Patricia because he was cast in a role that he was not equipped for, and he worked hard and he tried hard and he's smart, but it just wasn't it. And Doug, you, I, Bobby, Timmy, Johnny, Samantha, Christine, Kelly, and Frank all
Even
said
Frank?
last year, Frank, yeah, who's an idiot. Everybody last
Jesus.
year said, yeah, Matt Patricia can't do that. And Bill Belichick said, well, yeah, he can. And here we are a year later, and there is no resolution to it, and there's no closure to it. It just happened. It was a season-long mistake, as you mentioned,
Yeah.
and it just submarined their chances to even be legitimate last year. They went
Did. Yeah.
1-6 or 1-7 against playoff teams. 1-6,
Right.
I think. They weren't a real NFL team because of
No.
that.
Yeah.
And here we are, and it's just I don't think he'll be on the. So last year he was good enough to put everything behind and say, if it doesn't work out, blame me. All right, I'm standing for this guy. And then a year later, is he on there? Is he working for the team in any capacity anymore? And the answer is, I'm not sure. How do you get from there to there and not explain it?
It's a very good question.
Thanks.
And I guess I have a question off of your question. If it was up to Bill Belichick, who do you think would be the offensive coordinator in 2023?
I have no idea. I
Because-
would imagine he had to make a change, and I do believe Bill O'Brien would be on his list.
But Kraft said he was at the top of his list. And Bill Belichick said, I've known him a long time.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know.
And you look at the coaching staff, right? I mean, there's 2 Belichicks. There's Gerard Mayo.
Yeah.
There's Troy Brown. So there's definitely some familiarity.
Adrian Clem, his first draft pick with the Patriots.
Adrian Clem, his first draft pick ever. I don't know that he has tremendous history with too many other guys, unless I'm missing someone obvious.
Well, what's his name? The Pellegrino played lacrosse with Brian Belichick or something.
Okay, so there's a lot of familiarity. So the fact that the first and only thing he could say positive about Bill O'Brien was, I know him going back a while, does fit in
True,
with
yeah.
something he might look
likes
for
to-
in that position.
Bill Belichick likes to know guys. And he likes
Maybe
to
he's
know them
just
for a long
shy.
time. Yeah,
Maybe
it
he's
could be.
shy. Like, who wants to meet new people? First day of school vibes. Like, no, we don't need that. But yeah, I do think to answer your question, Bill O'Brien is someone that Bill Belichick would have wanted if the owner were maybe saying, hey, you're making a change in hiring an OC.
Right. I did think another comment from Kraft was interesting, and I don't have the means to pull it up right now. But he was kind of deferring to Bill with a lot of decisions. I don't even know if deferring is the right word.
Yeah.
With Bill would know better than me, all this. I think he said it a couple times.
Ask Bill.
Ask Bill.
That was what was that? It was a question that maybe
Was it about Gerard Mayo's
it's Gerard
title?
Mayo? Yeah, it was Gerard Mayo. Is he getting a title? I don't know. Ask Bill. But that was after Kraft did that long thing about how great Gerard Mayo is and how
Right.
he has a high ceiling and will be a head coach someday.
There was another one though where like I don't know, you have to like trust Bill or whatever it was. I'd love to find this, but it's probably not.
I still believe in Bill.
I don't know. This is really bad podcasting.
He was asked if he's still as confident in Belichick as he was 5 years ago.
Yes. Yeah.
And he said that was the end of your quote that you were just reading about. It's about executing. It ended with, I still believe in Bill.
He did say, I still believe in Bill. I do think that these answers are so long that it's hard to find this exact quote. And maybe it doesn't even exist. Who the hell knows? Maybe I'm just imagining it. But I think at some point he was like, you have to believe in Bill or something like that. Okay. No, here it is.
Oh, well,
it was about Matt Patricia. He said, in life, it's important to try to know what you don't know and then get the best people. I'm in no position to know whether going in, that's the right thing. So like, maybe
no, but that's in
I guess
line.
that was more last year, but still he's like saying that, I don't know who's like the right choice at offensive coordinator. Like maybe it was Matt Patricia, but like, I feel like he like Kraft also was kind of pushing for changes over the last couple of years. So like he must want to have some say. Like he's not just this guy being like, whoa, we just have to like roll with the punches and see what Bill Belichick wants.
Yeah.
So I don't know what my large overarching point here is.
Well, I don't think that's a change though, because last year, I forget when it was, time of year wise, but Kraft was asked, it's a very unorthodox choice, an offensive coordinator, you have a second-year quarterback, and he basically said, the way I succeed in business is I put people in position to lead that know what they're doing, and I trust them.
Yeah.
And that is what happened last year. Now, I think Kraft made it clear enough that these changes were, if not forced by him, were going to be forced by him if the head coach had any complaints or issues about it.
Yeah, I think that's fair to say. And I don't know. Obviously, they were needed. Like, there was no way that Bill could have run it back with Matt Patricia. Like, maybe Matt Patricia would have been better in year two, but like, it's not worth seeing if that was going to be the case. The whole Joe Judge assistant head coach thing is kind of weird and funny. I don't know, what his
beloved assistant head coach.
Like, he can't have that actual title next year, right?
I mean, is Scarnecchia the last one that held it?
I think so, yeah.
And he didn't retain it upon his unretirement for whatever reason.
True. He was probably like, I don't want to do that much crap.
I just want to coach the O-line.
It is funny that I don't know if there's a less respected former NFL head coach than Joe Judge. Like,
I mean, that's a tall list. We could probably come up with 100 if you gave us an hour, and it would be.
But I do feel like at least in New England, it's like, what did Joe Judge do to deserve that title? And like, well, I do like sort of agree with that premise. Like, he was a literal head coach.
Yeah, but how'd that go?
It went poorly, but like he was an actual
and why
literal
did he get
head
it?
coach. But
so
that's the issue, though, is that he probably never should have been one in the first place.
Right. He convinced John Mara that he was this hard-ass gym coach, and the owner loved it, and somehow that was enough. But on the one hand, there's an element of, all right, so maybe the players dislike Joe Judge. There's an element I could see Belichick saying, well, good. There needs to be some sandpaper in the mix.
Yeah.
On the other hand, if Joe Judge's coaching points, as the Boston Herald article illuminated some light on, if he's coaching players and then another coach has to come in and say, no, don't do that, do this instead, that's bad for your football team.
Yeah.
And then everyone sort of agrees on this, like, okay, well, he can do special teams. That's good. That's good for the team. Okay. But Cam Achord is still a special teams coordinator.
And Bill Belichick like praised him.
F you. Absolutely F you if you think he's not good at it.
Yeah.
Despite the fact that they were dead last in special teams last year, maybe that was all Jake Bailey's fault in Bill Belichick's mind, because according to him, Cam Achord had the best special teams unit in the league in 2020.
Yeah.
So not his fault. And it's like, Bill, and this is another one we'll get to. I don't think we'll get to it right now. A little bit of a teaser. The resting on the laurels of past accomplishments, if it's not already past time for that to be an effective or reasonable response to questions, it's awfully close, Doug. I don't know how. I mean, in my mind, it's past time, but for anyone still hanging on to the past, that's not good. But I want to talk about that separately with Bill Belichick. But in the case of this, Cam Akord still there, and so Joe Judge is what? His supervisor?
Assistant to the special teams coach.
Yeah, and I wonder, like, does Joe Judge not want the demotion to be I don't know. To me, he's got a reputation to rebuild and repair. You see how far Matt Patricia's gone this offseason. You have to humble yourself after that spectacular failure. And Matt Patricia's having to do it, and Joe Judge isn't.
If Judge gets, if he gets assistant head coach, then you might also be able to have him oversee your special teams coordinator. But at that point, why do you have the special teams coordinator? Why are you keeping Cam Akord if Joe Judge is going to actually do that job? And if Joe Judge isn't going to actually do that job, and if it's going to be Cam Akord, then why isn't Joe Judge doing the job? Yes, Bill Belichick is correct that the Patriots were number 1 in DVOA special teams in 2020. Cool. Jake Bailey was also a effing monster that year.
Mm-hmm. And so was Nick Folk.
And then the Patriots were 20th in 2021 and dead last in 2022. So, as they said in Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, you're going the wrong way. And there's nowhere else. There's nowhere else for Cam Akord to go other than the 32nd. Yeah. We'll see if he can trend back in the right direction. But yeah, I feel like that sort of trend is enough to get some coaches fired. And if you already have a very good, experienced special teams coach within your staff, I don't know. It doesn't make a lot of sense. But who am I?
I remember, was it Miami? I just remember back when the Patriots were just a buzzsaw every year. They'd play a game on Sunday, and then Monday at 1:00, X assistant would be fired, Y assistant would be fired, and if a special teams unit gave up 2 big punt returns, that guy was gone. Yeah. It happens in the league. It's a performance-based league.
It's too hard.
And I like Cam Akord. I like his Zooms. He's very illustrative about the physics of football. He's definitely a smart guy. Mm-hmm. But they gave up 3 kick return touchdowns when no other team gave up more than 1. I think there were 4 or 5 in the entire league or whatever it was.
Yeah.
They had issues there. They couldn't punt.
And they had some good special teams players last year.
They certainly had some guys that just did special teams, so it shouldn't have been a lack there. I know Jake Bailey, this is another topic of the past week, blamed the squatting program of the Patriots on his bad back last year, which I don't know, Jake. I would have pocketed that one. He volunteered that. I don't know if you watched Jake Bailey's press conference.
I didn't watch it. I read it. I'm a big reader.
It was real.
I'm a big watcher.
Volunteered, I would say. It was sort of like, hey, well, I'll tell you this, guys. The squatting program just really messed my back up. It's like, dude, I don't know. I know squatting has caused some philosophical disagreements in Foxborough regarding, tight ends, not involving punters. I don't know what was going on there. But anyways.
You need leg strength to be a punter, I've heard.
Yes. But I actually argue, Doug, dexterity is number 1.
Yeah, honestly, when I was
strength is important though.
When I was thinking about Jake Bailey doing heavy squats, I was like, I don't know, it's kind of weird, like a punter, lifting super heavy. But then I was like, well, he should probably have a strong leg, but I don't know if it's as much like quads as it is hip torque and flexibility. I don't know,
back, core, and the other's back.
Right. I kind of bought it honestly. I don't know.
Should have done he should have gone free weight squat. If we're doing some gym talk, no need to get the bar out.
Yeah, maybe a front squat. Squats. Maybe a front squat.
Those scare me when you get the bar. I don't like it. Yeah, not a fan of the front squat. Anyways, we got lost in the special teams discussion, but I just think from the Joe Judge perspective,
when it comes to team, I never wanted to talk about special teams. I get a podcast.
Now here you are.
All I want to do is talk about special teams.
Well, when it's that bad, you kind of have to. So I think that was, the fact that Joe Judge is still there and is free is hard to ignore. And Matt Patricia is not there and is no longer free.
Yeah.
Still seems like a factor because for all the money they're pouring in to the coaching staff, I think that they are willing to pay coaches who are worth it. And it's like, well,
Right.
if Joe Judge wasn't free right now, would he be the assistant head coach? That's what I would like to know.
Maybe Bill knows him. He's known him for a long time.
That's true. Did you also know our guy was asked about another assistant coach? Will Lawing was asked about. Will Lawing got some time, and he was like, "Yeah, don't ask me about Will Lawing right now, guy. What are you
I'd
doing?"
love to know about Will Lawing.
No, you got to wait till later in the spring.
So we've got 20 minutes left. I think that should be enough to cover the Corliss Waitman discussion,
Yes,
right? We'll
for
do 20
sure.
minutes on Waitman. I think they're drafting a punter, but let's talk about the old resting on their laurels thing,
Yes.
because
Let's
I
run the
like-
quote.
okay, yeah, you got it. You got,
I can get it. You can
Line?
set it up. Yeah, 25 years.
well, don't you have
Great
the
podcast.
script? Don't you have a goddamn
Yeah,
script?
I got it right here. Ready?
Yeah.
This was Mike Reese asking, because Mike, I would say, has the strongest relationship with Bill. For anyone that might not know, that doesn't mean the best. That doesn't mean he gets
Right.
favorite. But Bill will dump on him sometimes, knowing Mike gets it.
Can I do an
Mike
aside
will-
real quick before we get
Yeah.
to this? I think it's funny. And I include myself in this.
Mm-hmm.
Reporters asking questions to owners is funny because they're asking questions to owners like they're like grandparents, but
Yeah.
also like someone they cover, but also a billionaire. So like you can't ask Robert Kraft a question like you would ask like Devin McCourty a question.
Yeah.
And like it's even different than asking Bill Belichick a question, just because like that dynamic is so different. But I've
Yeah.
always thought, like myself included, like asking Robert Kraft a question is just a funny experience because there's like no one else in the world like that you would be asking a question to. I don't know. That's just my aside. I think it's funny.
I've
it's
even
a funny thing.
I was in the Chiefs locker room and Clark Hunt was talking, and it was just like, his face looks different than most faces. There's something about a billionaire's face. I don't know what they do to their face, and I'm just staring. Like Jerry Jones is not the same human.
Right.
Like he's just yeah. So talking to billionaires, weird. I agree.
But yeah, you definitely. But also, I think it is. There's like an age factor there where you're trying to be like very respectful of this human being
Right.
in the way you're speaking. So you speak in a completely different tone of voice than you would with like
Right.
any other person that you're covering. I don't know.
You're not like badgering him.
No.
Anyways, Mike
Yeah.
Reese says to Bill Belichick in like minute 25 of this press conference, which was painful. The media is often a conduit to fans. You say, is there anything you would say to the fans regarding where the team currently sits? Bill Belichick said, long way to go. It's March. We play in September. We've got a long way to go. Got a lot of work to do. Very exciting. Mike Reese said, can you give them one reason to be optimistic? He said, I don't know. Maybe the last 25 years. Which whenever Bill wants to fudge the numbers, he does it in his favor. Going 4th and 2, didn't get the yard. Well, it was 4th and 2. You can get 2 yards. There's a lot of times where he'll fudge the numbers in his favor. And that is certainly one, because if we're going from 2022, 25 years would be 97. I'm not sure what Bill Belichick did for the Patriots from 97 to 99. I'm not sure the 2000 season has much excitement. So we're cutting off 4 years right off the bat. So,
Right.
and you have 18 years of Super Bowl winning and competing, and I'll throw 19 in there too. So 2019. So you have 19 years. We'll call it 2 decades, two solid decades of contention. How's it been for the last 3 years? And that's what's more relevant to the now.
I have a question. Is
Is
there a
the-
common thread between those 20 years you were talking about
Yeah.
and then the last 3 years?
Well, at the beginning, they had Adrian Clem. And toward the end, they had David Andrews.
Yeah.
Is that what you were getting at?
It's tough to do the whole like past 25 years thing. And like I'm not a Bill Belichick versus Tom Brady guy.
No, and I think that's crap. Actually, I'm aggressively not that.
But if you're trying to give fans a reason to be optimistic and you say the past 25 years, and for 19 of those 25 years, Tom Brady was your quarterback, and those were the best 19 years of your franchise. And now for the last 3 years, Tom Brady hasn't been your quarterback, and they've been a mediocre portion of your franchise. I don't know. Like, I think that Tom Brady, like on paper, Tom Brady was the reason to be optimistic. Like, and then once you don't have Tom Brady, you're not as optimistic. So unless Tom Brady's coming back, I don't know. Like, I don't want to do this, but you almost kind of have to when the greatest quarterback of all time was like, he brought you all that success and you haven't had as much since he left. Like, you can't just like eat shit, but I think that you kind of have to, I don't know, like be maybe a little bit more, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
But at the same time, to something we mentioned earlier, nobody argues both sides quite like Mike Hurley, just completely undercutting his own points. We did say earlier, this was just a Bill Belichick press conference. And if Bill Belichick were to, get on his knees proverbially, and beg for the fans to be excited about the 2023 season, then something would be wrong. Right. So the fact that he didn't get all, we got a good team and like go Pete Carroll on us and say like, we're going to go out there. We're going to give it all we got. We got some hardworking guys. We're in the weight room every day. That would be crazy. Yeah. But it's more what the hell do I have to say to them? Look at the last 25 years. That's just off-putting. And it goes back, Doug, remember the last Tom Brady game, the 2019 playoffs, they lost to the Titans. Yeah. Belichick was asked like the softball's questions. Right. Do you have anything to say to the fans who support you through all the ups and downs over the years? And he was like, I don't know how many downs there's been. It's like, dude, that was not an antagonistic question in any way. Maybe you disagree. You can write that if you want. And it's like, all right, playoff loss, whatever. Yeah. This is March 27th at 7:30 in the morning at the Arizona Biltmore. Yeah. There's no level of sort of rage or anger that should trigger that. But I think, to me, Doug, if I'm asking you, if you're running a business or whatever, let's say you're a band, Doug's Ducks, because you got a Ducks hat on.
That's true.
And you had a really popular album in 2017, and I'm like, oh, cool. And then you came out with an album in 2020, and it sucked. And then you came out with an album in 2021, it didn't do so well. Then your tour bus broke down in 2022. You had to cancel the whole thing. You weren't going well. I said, like, what's positive about
at some point, do I hire a drummer who's never played drums before? maybe a bassist who has previously mastered the keyboards but has never played the bass. Yeah.
And then someone says, you've made all these odd decisions along the way. And then someone says, Doug, like, what do we have to look forward to in 2023? You're like, I don't know. Maybe look at stuff I did a long time ago. People would be like, well, this guy doesn't really get it. And I think Bill Belichick gets it. I'm not a moron. But there is this element of looking back at the past. And that probably buys him some favor with Robert Kraft when they have some tough decisions. And
certainly a lot of the fan base, I think, too.
Yes, a lot of the fan base. I won't say all of the fan base. I think there is some splintering in different. We could probably do a separate podcast on the sections of Patriots fans. Yeah, but there are still some that are definitely like everything Bill says is right. The media is out to get him, and it's like, what do I have to do with the Patriots being 25-25 for the last 3 years, with no playoff wins, with no playoffs 2 of the last 3 years, with the fact that it's hard for anyone out there to make a case that they're better than third place in the AFC East next year.
Right. Well, that's the thing is that, like, I do think, and I don't want to go down the rabbit hole of, like, subsets of Patriots fans. Like, at a certain point when, as you mentioned, they're 25-25 over the last 3 years, haven't won a playoff game since 2018. Like, at some point, you can't believe in the roster on paper anymore. Like, you have to look at the roster and be like, no, this isn't as good as those other teams in the AFC East. And it wasn't as good last year. And it wasn't as good the year before. And I don't know, like, I do think that it's tough for people to be rational and maybe a little bit pessimistic about the Patriots. But the recent history suggests that the Patriots aren't building perennial winners anymore. I don't know what my overarching point here is, but, like, I don't think there's a tremendous reason to believe in the roster, and that's why they should trade for Lamar Jackson.
Wow, you really brought it home. Yeah. I do. How much do you care about strength of victory? Because I have monitored that fairly closely the past couple of years, because it's just the winning percentage, obviously, for anyone that doesn't, the winning percentage of teams you beat. The Patriots' strength of victory the year they did make the playoffs in the last 3 years. Do you know what it was, Doug?
I'm gonna guess it's low. I'm gonna guess it was like 430.
Yeah, that would be low, right?
Yeah.
What about 394? This is the strength of victory for all of the AFC East, the AFC playoff teams in 2021. 480, 517, 428, 462, 515, 490, and 394. So even the year they did make the playoffs and win 10 games, they beat nobody. Last year, their strength of victory was 415. They beat nobody.
Yeah.
And that is something that we can look at all the grand numbers. If you watch the games and you know the games, you know that they aren't on that level.
Right.
So what does 2003 have to do with this?
Right.
That's crazy.
No, I agree with that. And it was somewhere, I think it was like, it might have been Sumer Sports or something like that. They did like a strength of schedule heading into the 2023 season. And the Patriots had a really difficult strength of schedule, which is another thing that's just like pretty effing rough for this team as they go into this season. And I don't know, like, I don't know what I wanted them to do or like what I would have wanted them to do if I cared or whatever about them, like becoming a playoff team or whatever it would be this year. But I don't think and like Bill Belichick did say there's like a long way to go before the season starts.
Yeah.
Right.
But he also said free agency's over.
Right. But like, yeah, what are they going to do? Like, yeah, there's a draft and yeah, they could potentially make a trade, but like, what's one trade going to do? Even if they traded for Jerry Jeudy, even if the Broncos were like willing to give up Jerry Jeudy for a second round pick or something like that, like, does Jerry Jeudy, like, what? Jerry Jeudy isn't worth one win above replacement, you know?
You swayed me on the Lamar Jackson case just because it's sort of like, well, what else are you going to do?
Right.
Like, why as the former president of the United States once said, what the hell have you got to lose?
Right.
That was Donald Trump. I forget what the purpose was, but some of his quotes, they stick with you for years.
Interesting.
Do you want to do, Doug, a way too early win-loss prediction while you're on it? I got the opponents.
Okay.
And we'll count the wins. Okay, so just take the I think best case scenario AFC East. What do you think? 6 games, Bills, Dolphins, Jets. I say the best case is a split.
So did they go
3-3.
3-3? Is this with Aaron Rodgers at quarterback?
Well, presumably, but even without him, they played a tight game last year that took a punt return at the buzzer beater to win, and John Franklin Myers roughing the passer to prevent a pick six. The other one, so they played him pretty tight anyway. The Jets are pretty good.
The Jets are pretty good. If they don't get Aaron Rodgers, I think they literally don't have a quarterback. So
okay,
in that case, maybe it's 3-3.
But you still got to beat the Bills.
I kind of think it's 2-4 if Aaron Rodgers is the quarterback.
All right, well, let's lean optimistic for the sake of this exercise. So 3-3, I think, is optimistic.
Sure.
All right, home games. Colts.
Win.
Yeah. Chiefs.
Loss.
Okay. Chargers.
Probably a loss, but the Chargers are a total weirdo team.
Wild card. Let's give them a win. We're optimistic. So that's 5 wins. Saints.
Win.
That's 6. All right. Eagles.
Loss.
Commanders.
Win.
All right. So we've got 7 wins, and we haven't hit the road schedule yet. So
Well,
let's see
I have 5 wins. You have 7 wins. But yes, I agree. Okay, we'll go 7.
We're going optimistic. We're going best case.
Okay,
best case.
Okay, perfect.
Hitting the road now. Dallas.
Loss.
Denver.
Win.
Got to remember they never win in Denver, but all right, you got them with the win. Vegas.
I like for Denver and Vegas, I could say loss
Split it.
very easily. Like, yeah,
Well,
just
maybe
split
give them
it.
1 and 1 on. All right,
Yeah.
so that leaves 2 games left to get to 10 wins. New York Giants.
Probably a loss.
Pittsburgh Steelers.
They could win that.
You're looking at a 9-8. Generous.
Generous
win.
9-8.
There's a draft. As Bill Belichick does, there's a long way to go. But that is...
I would say like crazy best case scenario, you're at like 10. Maybe
Yeah,
like
a few things would have to go right.
best case scenario, you like maybe beat the Giants too. I don't know, like
Maybe Josh Allen has like a bum foot and can't play 1
Right.
week. Maybe the Jets don't get Rodgers. Maybe Maybe you take Denver and Vegas. I don't know which game's
Right.
going to be in Germany.
Germany?
I got to take that off the home.
That's a
slate.
home
That's
game,
gotta
right?
Be,
Yeah.
That's got to be Chargers, Colts. There was one of the division games. I don't know. One of those games, take it off the home schedule. I don't think it
Yeah.
changes anything because we basically went on opponent there.
Yeah.
Anyways, that's the picture.
No,
And
it is. Yeah.
for as much as things go right, you win 10 or 11. That works the other way too. And I think that is what 2020 was they were, a fraction worse than what they might have wanted to be. So instead of 9-7, they were 7-9. It is a very delicate thing that you and I can't forecast now. That was just an exercise to say, I don't know. And I'm with you. I think they had a good offseason. I think they did things well.
They did. I don't think they did enough.
And I don't know that they could have.
Right. That's the thing, is that I don't think they could have done enough. Like, if they had traded for Jalen Ramsey and if they had traded for DeAndre Hopkins, you'd look at this offseason as being better. But
I thought you were saying Jalen Hurts, and I was like, yeah, that would have been.
But you'd also be
primo.
in kind of cap hell moving forward. You'd be acquiring guys trending in the wrong direction. That's the thing about DeAndre Hopkins. Is that if you look at the past 3 years of DeAndre Hopkins, it's not great. He was suspended for PEDs. He's been kind of hurt. That career is not trending in the correct direction. So the Cardinals are kind of crazy for what they're asking for him. But even still, if they'd made these splashy moves, maybe then you're maybe they could go 11-6, whatever it is. But I don't think it might have necessarily been the correct decision. I think that they were smart this offseason. But it's really only been good enough on the roster to get them to where they were last year.
Where do you put the blame on that? Because to me, it's just first round draft picks between N'Keal Harry, Isaiah Wynn, Sony Michel. Those are guys that not every first round draft pick's a star, but you probably could have used a star there. You didn't have one in 2020. You traded out in 2020. You ended up with Duggar.
Who's been a good player, but I don't know if he's necessarily, if that was a first round pick, I don't know if you're crazy hit Kyle Duggar,
Right. And then if you had hit one of those star receivers instead of N'Keal Harry, you have that guy on your team. It changes the whole shape and dynamic of the offense. And then in need of some infusion, there's a guard from Chattanooga, which doesn't help the overall picture. So
I don't think
that's
that
to me
helps.
why they are in that position where they can't get to that level. What about you?
I think that that's certainly a big part of it. And I don't think that they've been crazy hitting on mid-round picks either over the last few years. And there's also an element there where if you're picking in the bottom third of the first round, you're just not going to get elite players at the same hit rate as you would if you're bad. You pick a player in the top 10, you do that enough that you get a talented roster. So but that's just kind of there's no point in being middling. There's no point in being an 8 and 9 team, because then you're never going to get those players, but you're also not going to make the playoffs. But no, I do think they needed to be drafting better. I think that they could probably be spending a little bit more wisely in free agency. They only really hit on half the players in 2021. And beyond Judon, there's not a massive success in that group. And yeah, I think that, I don't know, it probably is mostly the draft. If you look at the Eagles roster, almost all of their players last year were drafted or were a savvy trade. The Chiefs were as good as they were because they got Patrick Mahomes. So it sucks that the Patriots don't have Patrick Mahomes. But that's another thing where you have to be bad enough to get Patrick Mahomes. And
Well, he was 10th. He was 10th pick.
No, it's true. I don't know. Maybe I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what
It compounds too in my. It compounds them because you take N'Keal Harry in the first round in 2019.
Right.
In 2020, you're not going to trade up to get Justin Jefferson.
No, right.
A year after that,
Yeah.
you're just not.
Right.
But it's poor decisions beget, decisions that don't help.
I didn't just yawn.
I just bored you to freaking tears here. Trying to bring it on the Past Chat podcast. You did mention, by the way, you don't really follow Boston sports media. I'll fill you in on what the radio conversation was on my way home.
Please.
And I'll just say, so Robert Kraft launched his anti-Semitism huge investment cause today. Well, Bill Belichick wore the pin, but he wore it under his pocket, so it was sort of down on his abdomen.
Uh-huh.
So it wasn't really visible to cameras.
Yeah.
And Mike Reese asked him a question about it, and I was like, "What is he talking about? I don't even see the pin."
Yeah.
Because Mike Reese was right next to him, and the conversation on the radio was that he wore it because Kraft made him, but he didn't want to. So like a spoiled teenager who's told to wear a tie to church, and then the spoiled teenager ties it around his head and says there. That is what Bill did with the pin, and it's a crisis.
Lord.
Which might not be it. Who's to say? I do think it is a wild place to wear a pin. For a man who knows where and how to wear a pin, we've seen over the years. He puts the pin right here usually. So I don't know, but that was the radio conversation at home. I said, you know what?
Is there a picture of where this pin is? I guess I need to see this.
It's down low.
Yeah, but do you have a picture in front of you of it?
I don't. I mean, I can look it up. Why? What? It's below the pocket, like the.
Okay, I see this now. That's not. Yeah, that's not necessarily where you wear a pin, I guess.
I mean,
I think it's a wild take to have on the radio, but.
Well, here's a picture. I'm not good at the mirroring screen. Where'd he go? Of a pin that Bill Belichick would normally wear, right up on the chest.
Yeah.
Typical pin placement, but and
then
I don't think it was a protest on the.
that's
blurry.
I'm blurring.
What kind of picture are you trying to show me, dude?
It's where Bill Belichick really had the pin.
This is getting dark here. I don't have a picture, and yours is blurry.
You tweeted a picture of Bill Belichick.
Oh, here it is. Ben Volen with the picture.
You tweeted one.
That was a screenshot, and there it is down.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Down there. Not where you put a pin. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah.
But you know what? But the point is, people not from here just don't know what it's like on a daily basis, and it was more when the Patriots were great. And the conversation would be absolute crisis every day. Those were the days. Now it's sort of like it's less fun now because meh.
Well, I think that will do it for today's podcast of the Pat's Chat podcast episode. I think I meant to say this was fun, even though I don't know. I'm sorry for super optimistic Patriots fans that we.
No, I think today sucked, Doug. Not our podcast. I just think for the Patriots, it just kind of sucked.
Kind of a weird day, yeah.
There was no. We're in a transitional period. Was stated. I mean, man, it's year 4. Year 4. That's a whole college. That's 04 to 08.
It's true. It
kind
really
of a crappy day.
Yeah, and I don't know. We've beat the dead horse. But there's not a great path other than Lamar Jackson.
Yeah, we'll see. I have homework for you, though, for the next podcast.
Oh,
because we didn't have time to hit it today. And that's figure out what the hell's going on with the cash spending comments.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Why?
I feel like people pretend to care about this more than they actually do.
Yeah, it's the homework. Let's work on our theories and read and do our homework. And maybe figure out what's going on there because I don't want to do it today. It's just a bit much.
When they were successful, just a real quick thing. Patriots spent up to the cap every single year. So I was always like, what the F is the big deal about cash spending if they're spending up to the cap? I don't know if they've done that as much because I think they carried over a decent amount of money from 2020 to 2021.
Yeah. And remember Belichick in the middle of 2020? It was like, well, we needed a reset. We were, it had to catch up to us. It was sort of like, where the hell did that come from? That's never been in the
that was a minor
Charlie
shot
Weiss
at Tom
pod.
Brady, I feel like. But I don't know. Everyone seems to care about the cash spending thing. They spent a bunch of money in 2021. They're not spending as much now. I don't know. I mean, I don't think that Robert Kraft is like cash poor.
There's also been no one to spend money on this offseason.
Well, that's the thing is that like all the free agents sucked. Like, I don't know.
Yeah. They didn't cheap out on Myers. They just gave that money to someone else.
Right. And they actually gave him more guaranteed money. Like more actual guaranteed money.
Anyways, we might be doing the cash spending thing, but
well, we'll do it again.
My bad.
And that'll be the title of the podcast, the cash spending thing. All right.
And we'll probably get into Matt Patricia a little bit more on the next podcast as well.
Of course. this is a good time to tell everyone to rate, review, and subscribe in the final minute of a 65-minute podcast. But we'll be back sooner than we were this time. We kind of lagged, and I don't know, but we'll be back. Bye.